All right, so in order to start the animation projects, what you're going to do is you are going to go to pixlr.com/e. You're going to hit Create New, and then you're going to hit this little button here that says Background. It's automatically selected on white, so you don't have to do anything about the color. I named my project. I'm just calling this Start the Animation, so this way you know what this is. So when we do the animation projects, try to name your files after the projects that we're doing. So in this first animation project of the third quarter, we are doing a walk cycle. So you can name your project walk cycle if you want to, okay? I'm going to hit Create. Now that I have hit Create, what I need to do is I need to set up my ground, my height, and my waist level of my character. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here where there's a plus sign. Your screen will look a little more like this. I just have a tendency of hitting this minus sign, so I have more room on my layers. Because this is my history, I can always bring that back up if I need to go back in my history. So I hit minus sign so I can see more of my project. I hit the plus sign, and then I hit empty. I'm going to rename this layer ground. So I know it's the ground. My next step is I am going to hit the shape tool. You can see it's a square, a solid square, and an empty circle behind it. If you just hover over any of the tools, it'll tell you what tool it is. Next, what I am going to do is I am going to switch. Yours will default when you first open Pixlr to design for the shape. We want to do draw instead. And then we want to switch to line. And for our ground, I like putting 15 as the width of my ground. I don't know why. I just like that it's a little thicker. Most likely, your colors are going to look like this setup, where it's black on the bottom and white on top here. You have to switch them so your line is drawn in black. You want the color for drawing, the color that's in use at the time is this top left color. So you can see there's like a little switcher. It's 2 arrows. You click that and it'll flip-flop them for you. I'm going to click on the screen and I am going to drag. Now, when I drag, you'll notice that it's not a straight line across. Well, it's straight, but it's not completely horizontal. If you hold the Shift key, you'll notice that nothing happened yet, but as soon as I move my mouse, it'll straighten that line out for me. So now, no matter how much I move up or down, it'll keep that ground level for me. Let go of your mouse first, and then let go of the Shift key. Now your ground will be perfectly straight, and we can move on to drawing the height of our character and the waist of our character. So to do that, I'm going to hit the plus sign again. I am going to hit empty. I'm going to change my outline from 15 to 5. Now what I do is I figure out how tall I want my character. If you want your character only this tall, perfectly fine. If you want them this tall, perfectly fine as well. For this project, I would suggest somewhere around like the top third of the screen, only because we don't want them too big and we don't want them too small. When you draw your actual characters that we started to do the backstories for at the end of the second quarter, that can determine how tall you actually want your character to be. So what I did was I drew a line for the height, using that Shift key to make sure it's straight. And then for my waistline, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go about halfway. I'm going to go slightly less than that, so more towards the ground. Sorry, my mouse is going a little nuts, so my screen zoomed out. The reason why we go slightly less is because the hips, the center of the hips, like where your tailbone would be, so where your spine is actually connecting to your hips, is technically the center of the body. So we want to go slightly less because basically that's where we really start to see the legs, where like your legs separate from your hips and your groin area. All right, so that's why we set the lines up like this for our characters, because we're doing a human proportion character, even though they're a stick figure. I'm going to call this height and waist, but I'm just going to use height H and W because I understand that means height and waist. So remember, when I talked about naming things earlier in the year, naming layers is up to you. As long as you understand what that layer means, all right, the name of that layer means, name it that. Just make sure you'll remember what it is, okay? Now, what you're going to do is you are going to bring down your transparency down to about 20-something%, okay? Doesn't have to be exactly 20, doesn't have to be 30, somewhere between the two, okay? That's a nice little bit because it's not too dark to be distracting and it's not too light where you can't see it. But this is how you set up your screen for this project. And if you click on the video for the project, you will see exactly what to do next for the next steps of the project. Let me know if you have any questions. Good luck.